franktalks.com.
Check out the Frank Talks Relationships column currently running in the Suburban Newspaper online magazine. To read more, please visit thesuburban.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating and relationships? Visit franktalks.com.
Stop being single. Remember to sign up for the Stop Being Single newsletter and get weekly tips about how to stop being single and how to start up a love life. Sign up at franktalks.com now.
Relationships, sex, passion with Dr. Laurie Betito. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Welcome to Passion, a show about love, sex, and relationships. I'm Dr. Laurie Betito. Tonight on Passion, the Boys Club. We give men equal time here on the program. Who are the guys in this exclusive club? We have Elan Preisler, who we nicknamed here the Passion Player.
To which I have no objection.
Of course not. Frank Kermit of franktalks.com, who happens to be a dating coach, and Irwin Lamberski, who is just an all-around nice guy. And
I'll take that.
You'll take that? Okay, good. And me, the token female. Of course, you too can take part in this panel discussion. We're going to talk about all kinds of different topics that have come up and that the guys will have their say about. If you have anything you would like to add, give us a call at 514-790-0800, or you can text at 514-800. And I'll tell you what a lot of people have done when I have the ladies on, when I have our Passion View. A lot of guys call in to get some information from the guys, to get opinions from the females. Like, men will call in to get a female opinion on a particular subject. So if you're a lady and you want a guy's perspective, we have three guys, three different age categories. One divorced, remarried, one married, one single, right? So all different ages, representative of different ages. It's a perfect opportunity to get the male perspective on whatever question you have, especially coming up with Valentine's Day and all of this stuff around that and romance and what have you. You may want to just, check in with them. 514-790-0800 or text us at 514-800. I also want to remind our listeners that this Friday night ends our Valentine's Day contest. So you have until Friday at 10 p.m. to submit your entry. And your entry has to be, you have to finish this sentence. You can finish it with a poem. You can write a whole letter. It doesn't matter to me. But answer the question, love is what? Love is fill in the blank. All right. And when you do that, you can send it by text. Make sure you include your full name. You can send it by email, passion@cjd.com. And we actually have 3 prizes to give away that evening. The first prize is a romantic package, which includes a $100 gift certificate to dine at Scara Restaurant. It also includes a WeVibe sex toy and all kinds of other sexy goodies and romantic goodies. We also have a 30-minute hit membership, a 6-month membership, which includes boxing gloves. And we have a VIP pass to the Living Solo Show. So if you're actually interested in the Living Solo Show, which you'll be able to meet Frank there because he'll be there all weekend long, then you have to let me know that you're single and that you're interested in that, and you'll go into a draw for that particular prize. So I want to start, guys, with the topic that has been all over the news. And because you're guys, and yes, I'm stereotyping you and I'm talking about sports, Michael Samms, first guy, the first ever athlete. Is it the first pro athlete to come out even before he's been drafted? Really? He's not the first?
The first one before he's been drafted. There was a professional basketball player who recently came out as well.
While he was playing or after he'd done his...
He was released, but he's no longer playing from what I understand right now.
Okay, but that's the thing, is that a lot of the athletes have come out once they were done playing.
He still wants to play, but no one yet has re-signed him.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, do you think it's because he's gay?
You know, he was a great basketball player. I mean, he wasn't a superstar like Michael Jordan, but he was an everyday basketball player, and he's not working right now.
Really? So what do you think about Michael Sam's coming out before the NFL draft? I don't know if you've heard of any repercussions. I don't know. I don't listen to sports, so I don't have really an in that area, but I'd love to hear you guys' perspective. Who wants to go?
I'll
Frank?
start. I'll start off by saying I think he's very brave. Because the amount of prejudice that still exists means he might not have a career. So he's taking a huge risk. So kudos to his bravery.
I agree with that. That was the very first thing I said.
I'm thinking about his agent must be in a little bit of shock right now too, because the draft is really right around the corner for the NFL.
Okay.
He was an All-American. He's an All-American. He'd probably go very high in the draft, and unfortunately, he's going to be tagged as
the gay athlete.
The gay athlete. And I mean,
so you think that will hurt him? You don't think in this day and age it might actually play in his favor? Maybe
he'll get a lot of notoriety for it.
Okay.
He will get a lot of press time for it, and I don't know if I'm a firm believer in any press is probably good press. I don't think there's such a thing as bad press. But in sport, there will be guys who will come out and say, well, I'm against it. I don't want a gay guy in my locker room.
I'm against. You see, right when you hear something,
right.
I'm against it. Against what?
I mean, like you see, Laura, I'm a big sports fan, and
yes.
quite honestly, for myself, I mean, I don't care if the guy is what his sexual orientation is. I mean, whether he's a football player or a hockey player. I mean, if goalie is gay, I really care more or less that he stops the puck more than.
Right.
What his
You're not
sexual preference
asking
is.
what he's doing in the bedroom.
Absolutely
But
not.
you're not sharing the locker room with him, and these other players are.
Okay, so
then does the fear come at that point from the fact that he sees them naked and he gets attracted to them and potentially could become, he sees them with lust in his eyes.
Have you ever been hit on in the gym?
No, but I've been hit on the street.
Okay,
but
have you ever been
by a guy?
Why would he hit on his? Like that, you see I think that's a stupid argument.
Let's hear that out.
Okay, I have been in the gym while I'm there, like on the few times I've gone. And where,
how many years ago?
Many years ago. I'm a big guy. I would be considered a teddy bear in certain communities. And there were open showers where there's no curtains and nothing. And I'm not there to receive that kind of attention. I wasn't expecting it. When I was getting hit on at that moment, okay, it's a compliment. Thank you very much. I've worked.
You just don't want to be hit on naked.
I don't want to be hit on at that point where I feel very vulnerable.
Right.
Because that's one place where I'm not expecting it.
So, that's an argument that a lot of women use at the gym as well. They don't want to be hit on by men at the gym.
That's why they have gyms just for women.
Curves.
I go to an all-female gym. I go to it's a 30-minute circuit.
Right, because
training.
you go there to work out, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of sexual attention, especially when you're...
I just go because it's fun.
Women. But now, wait a second.
I don't really care.
Let's just extend this.
What if there were gay women there? Wouldn't bother me.
You're at the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not your career. This guy's a professional or potentially a potential football player to potentially earn millions of dollars a year because he's so good at what he does. Because he's gay, does that preclude the possibility that he could be in an NFL locker room? I mean, regardless of what the players feel about it.
That would be his office. He's going to work. That's his career.
Yeah, I agree. That's it, exactly.
Well, then what about the argument about not having women reporters go into the locker room? And at one time, that became a huge kerfuffle because women journalists were saying, this is my job. I should be able to go into the locker room while guys are there, but you wouldn't have a male reporter going into a woman's locker room.
They should change that.
And you want to be the reporter.
I'm there.
That's my point.
That's Elon, the passion player.
If the woman covers up and is wearing a towel around herself, I don't see any problem with that.
Nor do I.
And they did.
In a legitimate level. Why is that a problem?
So how many women athletes would feel comfortable with a male reporter being able to walk into a women's locker room?
Can we get one and ask one?
We should. If you're a female athlete, if you're not at the Olympics, if you're here and you want to answer that question, we'd love to hear from you. As a female athlete, how would you feel if it was a male reporter coming into the locker room? And I guess this is the argument that you're saying against that some people may have a problem with in the locker room if there's a gay athlete or one that has come out there.
Exactly. I can give you a business reason. If other key players on a team feel uncomfortable in the locker room, would it affect their ability to perform in the game?
Yeah, but it's not for them to be comfortable with him. He has more of a right to earn a living than they do to feel comfortable because there's a gay man. If it's an office building, and it turns out, and you mentioned this before, if it's an office building and I find out one of my coworkers is gay, do I have the ability to say I don't want to work with this guy? Absolutely not.
Right. Well, and we'll take some calls on this. I would love to hear some of your thoughts on this issue about Michael Sam's sports, sex, all of that, and orientation. You're listening to The Boys Club on Passion on CJAD.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Gotta love my boys club. Tonight we have Elan Preisler. We call him the passion player. Frank Kermit. We just know him as Frank. Frank, the dating coach, who's on the show a lot. And Irwin Lamberski, who is all around really nice guy. And me, of course. And you too can take part in this panel, as Matt has chosen to do. Hi, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. But I feel kind of like uneasy the way the talk is going, and I've heard this for years, being a gay male.
Okay, give your 2 cents. You're allowed.
Going into a gay locker room.
Mm-hmm.
More heterosexual men get excited in the locker room than us gay guys. We're not there to shop around. We're not there.
Good point.
We do our business and we get the heck out. I've been a member of the YMCA for 40 years.
Right. Exactly. You're not going there to cruise guys.
And I think, Dr. Laurie, where I'm getting from you, and nobody made reference to it, there can be lesbians at the club there.
I actually said that off air. That's exactly what I said. I said I would have no issue whatsoever if I was in a locker room and some of the women were lesbians. I'm not expecting to get hit on necessarily in a locker room.
What I find interesting is heterosexual men seem to be so uncomfortable with their sexuality. Their whole life, it's to prove that they're straight.
That could be part of it, which is maybe why women don't seem to have the same issue with it.
You guys are so comfortable. You're so amazing. It's part of you. It's who you are, and let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
And for Michael Sams, I don't consider it being courageous. I consider it being proud and being a human being and saying, I'm not going to take this discrimination anymore.
Yeah, I think
I'm not going to take the garbage.
Right, and that's what he said. He actually said, I'm comfortable in my skin and I know who I am, and basically that's it, and I'm going to be who I am. Matt, thanks so much for weighing in on this issue.
Good
All right,
night.
Good night. And Matt has some good points here. From Regina, Rob says, this guy just committed career suicide. The NFL locker rooms won't accept this. It's just reality. Why is it not a big deal when a guy comes out and says that he is heterosexual? The media just eats up this stuff. Sheesh. True, the media does eat up this stuff.
Yeah,
also because we don't see it.
It's a really strong, it's a great sensational story, and it's right in the wheelhouse of what the American media likes to latch onto, because it creates vitriol from the right. It gets the left to stand up and have a cause. They love to stand up for, quote unquote, the disenfranchised. I don't want to say that all gay people are, but I wanted to just touch on this. He's coming out before he's getting drafted. I think in many ways he's going to be looked at as the Jackie Robinson of football for gay people as opposed to black people.
He's going to break barriers.
That's right.
Which I think is a very good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's going to break barriers.
I don't think it's career suicide. I really don't. I think we're going
it'll break
to
barriers if he gets onto the team.
Right.
If he doesn't get onto the team, I don't think it would be considered breaking barriers.
But the NFL supports him. I saw a statement from the NFL that absolutely supports him. So
they support him, but the question is,
will somebody?
You know what? It comes down to the coach at that point.
Yeah, I guess.
Will they draft him or the manager, whomever is?
Well, it's usually
I don't know how it works
between the coach and the coaches and the team management. Yeah. Really, it comes down to the guy, like any other team. It's going to come down to the guy who signs the paycheck.
Mm-hmm. The owner.
Just the owner, has nothing to do with the NFL per se. Even if they support him, that's not it, right?
It's also very timely given what's going on with the Olympics.
Yes. Well, I think he timed it. Well, I guess not, because the draft is happening, so he wanted to do it before the draft.
Soon. I mean, he did it before the draft, which, he already told his teammates were all behind him. He was voted MVP by his team.
Right. Which is a good point to make. Yeah. Exactly. And his entire team knew about it, so he was already out. He was already changing in that locker room. He was already doing all that.
I mean, I heard his interview today, and he just said that he wanted to come out now because if he was afraid that some of his teammates would be talking about it to the media, and it would be leaked that way, and he wanted to be the one to come out and say it, which is kudos for him.
Yes, kudos. Maybe not courageous, as Matt said, but more like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
I mean, I'll say it takes guts. Especially in a sport like football where no one's ever done it before, and it's such a testosterone driven thing. It's tough.
Right. Somebody says, the way my Broncos played, I could care less what his sexual orientation is. The straight guys were awful on Super Bowl Sunday.
The ones that we knew.
Anyway, you guys are laughing. I did not watch, so I don't know what he's talking about. But anyhow, more with the Boys Club here. You too can join in at 514-800, or you can call in 514-790-0800. By the way, that was the text, 514-800. You're listening to the Boys Club here on Passion on CJAD.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
You're listening to the Boys Club tonight on Passion. Once a month, the guys join me as, we have the women come on once a month as well, my girlfriends. Tonight, we have Elan Preisler, the Passion player, Frank Kermit of franktalks.com, who's also a dating coach, and Irwin Lamberski, who's just a nice guy and is here with us. Do you like that, Irwin?
I love it.
Remember how Ryan reacted to that title? He didn't like that one.
He didn't like to be called the nice guy, huh? I know. Ryan, goodbye. We should say hello, Ryan. He's on a cruise right now. He's cruising. Nice what is he doing? He's cruising, and he went alone. I have to say,
I've taught him very well.
That's good.
You taught him.
A singles cruise?
Calling a single guy a nice guy is the kiss of death to a social life.
Okay, but you know what? Irwin's married. He doesn't
you're
have to worry
married.
about it now.
Done.
He really
I'm married. I
doesn't.
have 6 children.
You're done.
He's good.
That's actually heroic. 6 children.
He's quite the hero, actually. He does a good job of it all.
Thank you.
Juggling it all. Yeah. So, all right. So we've been talking about Michael Sams, who before the NFL draft has come out of the closet, basically, and I think has surprised a lot of people. But is it surprising that there are gay athletes, pro athletes? Of course not. He's the very first one. That's what seems crazy to me, that he is the first one to actually come out publicly before, or during his career. This is even before his career begins.
Some of them have come out after.
After, yes, after I know.
But I mean, like Elan said, he's basically like the Jackie Robinson. He's a trailblazer.
Some people call him suicidal, career suicidal, and other people call him the trailblazer. I wonder how it will turn out.
Well,
I'm really curious.
It takes balls to do something like this, and it could potentially lead to career suicide. But if it works out, he will be considered a trailblazer. And I would imagine even if it doesn't work out, people will refer to him as one of the first people who took a stand.
Right, and he will be the hero of the LGBT community.
There you go.
For sure. That will make a difference. More on this topic and anything else you want to talk about here on the Boys Club on the other side of the news on CJAD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Tonight on the program, Boys Club in studio, Frank Kermit, Irwin Lamberski, and Elan Preisler. They are members of this Boys Club. And behind the glass, we can, consider him a member of the Boys Club, James Foster. We never otherwise talked to him, but James, you can come in and say hello.
Wait,
and you can
consider me a part of the Boys Club.
You are part. You're
I got 2 kids at home.
Part.
I can prove I am a boy.
Yes, you are. So he's the one with the youngest children. Actually, yes, he beats you, Frank, because he just has a newborn right now, just born a couple of weeks ago. So
Mazel tov.
All right, so let's move on. There's a couple of questions here. So one question from our listener says, it's a question for Frank, but I think all the guys can answer. Where is the best place to meet singles of all ages in an environment where you can openly mingle with like-minded singles besides the internet? And thanks, great show, by the way. Keep up the great work. So Who wants to? Let's go with the single guy first. I want to know where you meet people.
Okay. Every single person has this question, and it's over-asked, it's over-analyzed. It's not that hard. In fact, my personal place to go and meet people is nowhere in particular. I go about my day, and it's something called day game.
It's called what? Day game?
Day game.
Day game.
It's not, instead of running game at night, where most people do it, where women go out and sometimes they're with their friends and they don't want to be bothered, or at least that's the air they put on. During the day, women tend to be more on their own and tend to be more open and more surprised by an approach by a man, especially when it's done skillfully.
Now I know why we nicknamed you the passion player. Okay,
I know my business.
So let me tell you a little story about, I was just telling you off the air. I'm in the grocery store today, and a guy comes up to me, like a little bit flustered, whatever, and I was like, oh, what does he want, And he comes up to me.
This was to you?
This was to me.
Oh, I thought you...
And he says to me, oh my God, you're like exactly the woman of my dreams. I was with my daughter. I'm in the grocery store looking like hell, but whatever, He says, you have that face. That's the face from the woman in my dreams. I'm like, okay, thanks. And then he just scooted off. That's all. He just wanted to tell me that. He didn't ask for anything. He just scooted off. And my daughter was like, oh, Mom, he thinks you're beautiful. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was a little creepy, but whatever.
Yeah, sounds like a guy who was doing one of those approach drills. You're supposed to approach as many women as possible with some type of compliment opener.
Oh, thanks. Make me feel really bad. Thanks, Frank, but okay.
He didn't stay to talk to you. He just gave you a compliment and bolted.
Okay, I have a thought on that.
Okay.
There have been times where, now I've gotten past this because I've been doing it for so long, but there are times when you see.
Keep him away from your daughters. Just saying.
I'm just listening for pointers I can give to my kids.
The way I met my ex, my most recent ex, is I literally was driving a subway on Queen Mary. Pull over, I saw her, and it just so happened that I was pulling over as she was walking past my car. I get out of the car, I say hello.
Just like that. Just
hello. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
I said hi. I think you are either absolutely stunning or you're one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, which was true. The key is to say something sincere, and at least word it specially so that it doesn't sound like you're being
like a line, like it's a line.
Like
you're feeding a line to somebody.
And I piqued your interest immediately, and then at least you just have to know how to follow up on that. You have to know.
That's where Frank comes in,
right?
There you go. The follow through. What do you do? So the question is, where do you meet singles? You're saying, Elan, that anywhere, and you should really be focusing on anywhere there are people.
Yeah, there's something that's, and I don't want to talk. Sorry, guys, I'm talking a lot. There's something that a lot of men don't understand, and that they think that there's a time and place that's reserved for meeting women, and there isn't. We're men. We're animals by nature, and basically guided by our need to procreate. That cannot be shut off. So wherever you are, wherever you see someone to whom you're attracted, just go and say something.
Are you training this guy, Frank?
I had my training before I started this show, Laura. I'm like, I had my training years ago.
You're like Dr. Passion Player.
We can go. I like that a lot. That's even better.
Frank?
Okay, I think the specific question was, where can you meet and mingle with people of all ages?
With like-minded singles.
True.
With like-minded singles. My advice would be to start a social circle, like a meetup group.
That's what I always suggest, is those meetup groups where you actually have similar interests.
Right, but not to just join a group that exists. Create your own, and you're going to find people are going to join up with your meetup group and then just start holding meetings. I'm doing something on Thursday night, which is a big singles mingle. Just to get everybody in, we're going to be playing games like the charisma game, and okay, you're going to talk to that person, now introduce the person you just talked to somebody else. And the idea is just to get everybody talking, all ages, all backgrounds.
You're doing that on Thursday night?
I'm doing that on Thursday night.
You didn't even tell me. That's franktalks.com for that information. I hope it's up on your website.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, franktalks.com if you want to have a singles mingle right there. There
exactly.
It is.
So my advice really is that rather than say, where can I go? The question I think would be, what can you start up? Be the point person for the social group that you want to set up, because that gives you access to everybody coming in, and you might be in a position to introduce people who want to meet someone.
And that's how you get the like-minded.
Exactly.
Right. Whereas when you're on the street or when you're in the grocery store, you have no clue if they're like-minded. You just like the way they look.
Yes.
Where does somebody say who's very shy, who can't start something like that up on their own? How would they start something up like that? I mean, could be
if somebody's really shy to the point where they're not capable at this time, okay? Because look, shyness is a curse. It's one of the most challenging things that people have to break through. If they're not in a position to start something up, a shy person needs to elicit and reach out to their friends and say, listen, can you help me out? Will you come out with me? Will I go try to meet somebody new? Can you introduce me to somebody? But
you need the follow through. So if I introduce you to somebody, you need to actually go through with it. Like, I know somebody who goes to these Mingle things, and I think he's so shy that because I asked him, I said, so, okay, so you met some people that you liked, you got some phone number, you exchanged phone numbers. So did you call anybody? No, I'll wait till they call me.
No.
And it's like, no, you have to make that move. You can't just sit back. Women want you to make that move.
Well, when you're a guy and you're shy, that's where it's challenging, because the guy is expected to be assertive. The men are on the projecting end of sexual attention. When you're a woman and you're shy, it's a little easier, because guys are expected to do the pursuing, and if you're very shy, if you're a shy woman and reserved, you're still going to get opportunities to date. Whether or not you go on the date is a different story.
Right.
I've run speed dating organizations, and I've had guys who get the number, get the match, and it's like, okay, now call her up, go out on a date. But I don't think she likes me. You got the match! She likes you already. Get out there, do it! A lot of people struggle with taking the initiative. And this is where they maybe doubt themselves. They don't trust themselves. They figure, but what if we get together and the other person doesn't like me? Well, that's one of the risks.
Right. But if you do nothing, you get nothing.
Exactly. And why some people like to approach during the day and try to meet people during the day as opposed to at night. At night, everybody's got their guard up. You know, they're going to a club.
They're ready.
They're ready. It's like, oh, come on. You want to try to pick me up? Bring it on.
It's the law of the jungle in the worst possible way. Is that if you go to a club these days, probably ever, but if you go to a club, you find out it really does feel like a mating ground. And it's human mating grounds. People are on their guards. People are in packs.
The meat market, actually, right?
Yeah, but it's so it's so
pretentious,
adversarial.
I know
show me what you got, like you said.
I know people who go to clubs not because they actually want to meet anybody, but they want to see how much attention they can get. But they're not actually interested in connecting with anyone.
Sounds like a sport.
It is.
That's exactly what they're saying. Exactly.
These people,
it's very much like a sport.
They're not interested in drinking. They're not interested in actually connecting. They just want to see how much attention they can get.
Oh, quick tip for being in clubs, guys. Don't go to pick up girls, but don't go to pick up girls. You don't, not your number one priority. Your number one priority is to have fun. Picking up girls is a secondary reward.
Good tip. And more tips from the guys coming up here on the Boys Club on CJAD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
On the Boys Club tonight, Elan Preisler, Frank Kermit, and Irwin Lamberski. You too can join in. 514-800 if you want to text in, or 514-790-0800. We're talking about where to meet women, where you guys have met, and there's been questions about that. Someone wants to know, a pro tip. Don't frequent the same bar too much. If you become a regular, then that's how you'll be labeled.
Yep, I had a couple of mentors who would go to the same bar way too much, and then the owner finally said, stay out. I don't want you here. You're annoying the customers.
Oh, because they're annoying the customers.
Well, no, that's what the
they're
owner
hitting
says.
on. Well, they were probably hitting on constant flow of hitting on people. No,
they were actually very successful in bringing people home, and the owners were basically saying, "Okay, enough. You're always in here, and you're always leaving with people that maybe I wanted for myself. So you're annoying the customers."
Well, that's different. Any other tips on where to meet and how to meet?
Take an interest.
There
Pick an interest.
is there's a relatively new app that's hit, and it's insanely popular. Tinder has been working very well for a lot of people.
We've talked about it. Actually, Ryan talked about it on the air because he said through Tinder he hooked up with a couple of people. So he didn't actually date them. He just had sex with them.
That's what it's for.
So it's
not for dating.
So it's
for
not a
hookups.
dating. It's a hookup. It's for casual sex.
Look, I'll put it this way. I'm 32 years old. I wish it was around when I was 22. Now the people I meet are around my age, and people my age don't necessarily want to just hook up. So I've been on a couple of very interesting dates, and a couple of dates that have gone somewhere, but nothing that has been fully casual. And sometimes that's nice. So if you're younger, it's great.
So it's more casual then. The expectation is that this is casual.
Yeah, I mean, the way it works is you're looking at a picture. You say, I like you or I don't like you. The next person sees your picture and they say, I like this person or I don't like this person. If you both like each other, you're open to chat with one another. It needs that condition. Both people have to like each other. You're open to chat. You already like what the other looks like, and then it starts something up. The only problem is that, I've had 150 matches in 2.5 months, maybe had 10 dates. So it's like sometimes even through one or two texts, it just goes away.
And how many of those are fake profiles eventually trying to upsell you some porn site?
Well, there's no upsell, but there's been a couple of bots that have come up with like just ridiculous, like, I'm not wearing anything. What are you doing? Come over. And you're like, it's so funny because you get to know right away who these things are, and you write back, hey, I know you're not even human. And it just continues.
That's wild. All right. Cooking classes are a gold mine, according to one listener, in terms of a special interest thing.
Absolutely. If you choose a special interest, just take something that you're interested in doing. Go to those events, and you're likely to meet somebody there who's got a similar interest and is probably out taking a class. Why? Because they're single. They want to meet somebody. I always take the premise that people want to connect. And if you are alone and you want to connect with somebody, then do someone a favor. Give them the opportunity to meet you. Because you never know.
It's a nice way of looking at it.
Relieve somebody of that horrible existence without you.
A texter on the subject of sexual orientation. It's really annoying to me that people want to know what sexual orientation someone is when we're talking about work. I mean, at one point it comes down to someone's right to privacy. Last night, out of curiosity about something that Dr. Laurie said a few days ago, I checked out an STD online dating site, which I had mentioned for people who are very worried because they have an STD like herpes or something that they have forever, basically. Says, first profile I see is of a 42-year-old guy who has HIV and makes $200K per year. I couldn't help but wonder what would happen if all genital herpes people, HPV people, HIV people were to come out. Do we want to know who in our offices have what? Between someone who could give you type 1 herpes by leaving saliva on an office cup and a gay man who's minding his business, which would you prefer? I mean, these are good points, It comes really back to again, it's at work. And Irwin, you brought that up, that it's the workplace for these guys.
It's the workplace, but, it should make a difference to the person who you're working with. I mean...
It shouldn't, but unfortunately, to some, it seems to.
Yeah.
And on that note, when we come back, I want to talk about how you guys feel about women who are forward. Again, we're talking about dating, or we're talking about women making the first move or initiating. We can even talk even in marriage in terms of initiating sex or any of that stuff. How does it make you feel? So that's our next question for the guys here on CJAD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Couple of minutes left on the Boys Club with Frank Kermit, Irwin Lamberski, and Elan Preisler. Your thoughts, guys, on women who are kind of forward, women who ask you on a date, who ask men out on a date, or make that first phone call after a date. How do you feel about that?
Slutty.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm kidding. It's awesome. Who cares? It's I find it actually really
refreshing?
Yeah, for lack of a better term, it's nice to feel. It's nice to know that you don't always have to make that first step. You've already done so much to get up to that first date and through it, that if someone reciprocates even that early on, it's just nice.
What if somebody asks you out on a date? How would you feel about that? How do you feel about rejecting them, let's say, or telling them?
I wouldn't reject. My attitude is, if anybody has the guts to ask me out, they get an automatic first date. They get a yes. They might not get a second date, but they're going to get a shot.
I can't say the same.
You can't say the same.
No, if I'm not attracted to you, I can't go out with you.
And you base that attraction immediately.
Physical?
On the very first, because I've known a lot of women, by the way, who have gone on dates with guys who they have not been attracted to initially, who develop an incredible attraction to them once they get to know them second date, even, or maybe after a kiss or whatever it is.
I performed that experiment.
Yeah?
Many years ago. It did not work.
Okay, you did it once. Like, it's not...
I'd have to agree with Frank, though. I mean, if someone is willing enough and confident enough to pick up the phone and call you and say, let's go out for a cup of coffee, or let's go out for a date, and let's get together.
You're going no matter what.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I was single, yeah.
What I have found, though, is that in those relationships where it starts with the woman being more aggressive, she ends up becoming a little bit more insecure down the road. If the guy doesn't then reciprocate the same type of
if
wanting.
She's always initiating, you
exactly,
mean. Right? She's chasing. You don't want her to do all the chasing.
She doesn't want to be chasing.
Right, she wants to get chased as well. Someone else says, absolutely love a confident, take charge woman. All right, I say yes. Go for those women. That's good. Guys, thank you so much for joining me in studio.
Yay.
All right, we appreciate having you. Appreciate all the comments from our listeners, and certainly appreciate all the work that James Foster does as well. News coming up next, followed by the CJAD Comedy Show. If you need to reach me, passion@cjad.com. And don't forget to send in your Valentine's Day contest entry. You can text it at 514-800, or you can email me, passion@cjad.com. Love is... Please fill in the blank. That's all you got to do, and you could win a great prize. Have a great, wonderful rest of the night, and please remember, life is short, so do take the time to smell the flowers and indulge your passions.
Listen to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD and CJAD.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating, and relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at franktalks.com. Coaching is available in person, by phone, and by Skype for singles, couples, and alternative lifestyles. franktalks.com.
The Monogamy Map. Remember to sign up for the Monogamy Map newsletter and get weekly tips about navigating the journey of setting up and creating successful monogamy for two. Sign up at franktalks.com now.
Remember to sign up for the Alternative Relationship Choices ARC newsletter and get weekly tips to guide you through polyamory, swinging, and the basics of non-monogamy. We can help you find your ARC, your alternative relationship choice. Sign up at franktalks.com now.
If you need help with your relationships, my buddy Frank, he's got some tips. Just go to franktalks.com. His advice is better than your mom's. He knows what you're going through, Frank has been there too. So log on to franktalks.com. franktalks.com.